It'd be cool to be a didgeridoo.
We are live. Hello. We are live. Good afternoon, friends, colleagues. Welcome to Connect the Dots. It is our now bi-weekly web tech talk show where our goal is to field questions about marketing and web technology. Every show we have a special guest. We love the idea of being vulnerable and put on the spot. So ask us anything in the comments channels. Reach out to us on LinkedIn or Instagram. So we're here to explain trends, concepts, what's going on in the field of web technology in general. We've got a great guest today as well. And I'm here with my co-host, Arjuna Shankar, also partner in .fusion. Hey, man.
Hey, man. Let me say a bit of stuff about .fusion, I guess. Seems to be the next item to do. So .fusion, we are a team of curious design and code professionals, and we kind of like obsess about perfection in what we do and kind of have a thoughtfulness and joy about our way. And we're kind of framed by the idea of harnessing profits to create goodness in the world, or what that means. For the past 25 years and counting, we've been building beautiful digital thingamajigs, websites, apps, IoT things on basically enterprise platforms in this extremely equitable environment that is filled with plants and cycles and other amusing things.
Awesome. So we're here for you. Call-in show format. So again, just leave your questions. We're going to do our best to answer them. We always have a theme, and the theme for this episode is how do we understand and manage the technicalities of SEO, particularly within headless or, let's say, decoupled content management platforms, and what are some different ways of thinking about SEO, maybe a bit outside of what happens specifically on the page and with densities of keywords and stuff like that. And we have this amazing friend of Dot's and friend of ours, Justin, is with us to lend his expertise on the subject. Maybe, Justin, I just tell us a little bit about yourself and a bit about your background, and then we'll get into answering some questions and getting a good conversation going.
Sure. So as the label says, Justin Cook. I'm one of the co-founders of Ninth Co., also a small digital agency here in Toronto. Started as a web developer back in the early 2000s, forcibly moved into the realm of SEO because of the nature of the clients and the work we were taking on. Became very exciting. It was, during a time when no one knew what SEO was. It was the term was still being coined, and we spent years just explaining why companies should even care about it. Mm-hmm. And fast forward to now, I would say particularly the pandemic accelerated where literally every company on the planet, they care about the SEO of their website. It's one of the most critical components in any sort of upgrade or replatform. And stumbled into the world of sort of headless development the last, 3-4 years ago, and sort of realized the connection to what we were doing on the SEO side. And since then, it's just been an incredible tear of keeping up with it all, I'd say.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, apart from that, you've also, Ninth Co has done a lot of work with actually the specific modalities of like dealing with, the technical aspects of like dealing with SEO, especially when it's coming from like, something as amorphous as a headless CMS, first of all, which is like a strange term that a lot of people like have trouble dealing with. So maybe that's like a good place to like actually just like start out for everybody. Just what does headless mean to you? Like,
Sure.
and how does it actually come into impacting SEO stuff?
Well, I think, I mean, for us and for most of our clients for years, we were just comfortable working with platforms like WordPress, Drupal, and it's easy to understand where you've got a system you log into, you manage your content, you manage your pages, you press publish, and then your website magically updates. That's the front end.
Right.
And so it worked sufficiently, but we were always having these problems of we're called in to do the SEO. We run our tests and we say, okay, you got to fix this, your images, your scripts, your page speed times, and then you kind of get into this with the dev team, like, oh, we can't do that. WordPress doesn't allow that. Drupal's theming system is like that. So it was just it was very challenging. So to us as an SEO digital marketing agency, headless simply means like, let's just separate the two.
Right.
Content management system, it can be anything, whatever it is. It's just a system to manage your content, and it lives here in the cloud. Editors can log in and do their changes. But over here is the front end of the website, and it's separated, it's decoupled, as Chris said. And so you're kind of like removing the head, and therefore that front end can be anything. It can be built in any technology. It could be a mobile app, it could be a website, and it can live anywhere. It can live on a CD and a front end cloud. So the beauty of that is you can optimize. There is no system can't do X. You can just build it however you want, and it can be perfectly optimized. That's what it means to us.
Amazing. And like in terms of just like like the impact on SEO itself, basically what I'm hearing is, oh yeah, it basically allows us to, as developers or just people who are thinking about how to architect these front-end experiences, wherever they sit, to actually decouple the idea of like readability to machines, separating that from like the readability to a human, or like the presentation to a human, because ultimately SEO is about making your site readable to a machine, machine readable, extremely structured, so a machine can like look at it and be like, okay, cool, this is what you are talking about, this is what you're
saying.
Sure.
Yeah. And so I think for while we were sort of getting into this world, it was very clear to me what it meant from a tech perspective. And it was still not, the coin hadn't dropped in terms of like, what's the implication to business and marketing?
Right.
And I remember I was walking from the GO train to the office one day, and it just clicked. And what it is if all things being equal, if every company in North America in a particular industry, they all have the same capabilities for SEO. They all got an in-house SEO team. They're all in the latest CMS. They all have good page speed scores. How do you compete if all things are equal, right? So this is sort of that next piece in the toolkit. If you now can upgrade to a headless stack where your website, it could even look the same, but it is now perfectly optimized. That gives you that competitive edge over your competitors who are still on, outdated legacy technology.
Right. Yeah. So why would you, like, if you were to say, okay, cool, like let's say there's a person sitting in a marketing job somewhere, and they're not technical. They all know what impact SEO actually has on their on their jobs on a day-to-day basis, like on their outcomes of their work. And it's like, okay, cool, like often what I hear from people who don't seem to know much about the tech is like, oh, this headless thing sounds like it's going to be a lot of extra work. Like, how will I know what I see on the page? Can I preview it? It's just simple questions like that bounce into a lot of fear, I guess.
A change aversion, right?
Yeah.
We've been used to doing things a certain way for a decade, and it's not that you can't do things. It's just you're gonna have to just adjust your way of thinking. And in fact, the efficiencies you're gonna gain, like here's a simple thing. So replat, we used to, years ago, we would get involved where clients like, okay, we want to upgrade to the latest, we want to migrate to Shopify.
Right.
And so we would spend 6 months, 12 months just building this SEO migration strategy, make everything's in place that when they, flip the switch, SEO doesn't fall off a cliff. Now, that's not even needed anymore. If you're repurposing into a headless state, we just cut over a client on the weekend. Then the front end, what Google sees and other search engines, there's no different. They don't see, you didn't change all your URLs. You don't have to have this fear of like losing everything, because actually you have the same content but in a much faster, more responsive, more accessible state. If anything, when you flip that switch, you should see an uptick in your SEO. So that's our sort of love of it right now.
Right. Yeah. And do you see that, like, just around the scene, that like there is a conscious shift into headless in the digital marketing world, like, that like
Yes.
because there are people talking about it quite a bit, like the word Jamstack's been floating around for a while, and every now and then, all our enterprise CMS buddies are always coming up with new terms to always confuse and befuddle everybody, whether it's DXP or Jamstack or
I
but
think
headless has kind of stood the test of time.
You know what? It's so long as this is what happened in the world of SEO. So long as SEO was in the domain of the techies, it never really. We'd be pushing and pushing and pushing. As soon as the CMOs and CFOs of the world caught on that, like, oh, when we increase rankings, we increase pipeline or funnel, or then SEO became like they opened the purse strings, so to speak, and the clients that came to us were enterprise level. I think the same will happen with headless. Right now, it's the techies, the developers that say we want a better developer experience, and headless allows that. As soon as the CMOs catch on that actually there's real value for customers in a headless front end, and then the CTO or CFO catches on that when we re-platform to a headless state, the cybersecurity benefits, like a virtually unhackable website, it's incredible. I don't got to stay up at night worrying about ransomware. It's just when that happens, the push will come from the top down to like move our website to a headless state.
Absolutely, and I think that security thing is quite a huge thing. And like always, whenever I explain that to people, like me sitting as a tech person out there talking to people who are not very technically minded, I'm like, oh, this basically takes you to a place where it is unhackable.
It's virtually unhackable. Yeah.
Unless, I mean, for all practical purposes, there's always 99.99.
Don't leave your Netlify password on a sticky note.
That's right. Don't leave your password on a sticky note. But
hey guys, we've got just to open this up to the folks that are watching. Just pop a question you may have into the comments there. I'm keeping an eye on things, and we're really at your service to answer any particular questions you might have as well. Guys, I'm just going to throw in a question here from Natalie, who is wondering about how headless also approaches the evolved SEO strategies, kind of more technically around conversion rate optimization, and what are the opportunities within more tighter commerce related SEO, I guess would be the summary of that.
Yeah, I think okay, so how headless, what the impacts are on conversion rate, on commerce. So I think there's the obvious one we always see in any website that's extolling the benefits of headless, where it's like, for every second you load faster, your conversion rates are X% higher, and that is 100% true. So the easiest, simplest answer is if you have a headless front end, your conversion rates should drastically increase because there's no load time. It's just instantaneous. That's number one. Number two, the spillover benefits to SEO, therefore, faster loading time, preferential treatment. Google, places a very high emphasis on page loading times. You can check out their page speed tool or Core Web Vitals. But I think the one that is subtly being missed, I'd say, and I would say there's also no one yet taking great advantage of it, is the versatility. So let's take a retailer like Leon's or the Brick. They sell all across Canada, right? And they sell the same furniture to everyone in every province. Now, we know in Canada, people have very different buying styles, preferences, housing types in Halifax, Toronto, Barrie, Ontario, Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, very different. And yet that homepage of that website schleps the same products, same deals to every single one of those, regardless of where they live, what the weather patterns, for example. With Headless, what you can do is you can tailor that front end. And you could say, if Chris here in Toronto shows up on our website after 2 weeks of rain, and so-and-so Sally in Halifax and so-and-so in Vancouver, you can tailor the experience to the individualized customer based on the data that surrounds their profile. and you can show them the products that they are most likely to be interested in. You can even tie that via hooks into advertising platforms and advertise the right product at the right time based on certain trends and data points. So that's, I think, the big opportunity for retailers, and then amplify that to a multinational retailer, multilingual retailer. It's just the benefits are just incredible. You're no longer locked into this, like, the website has to be this thing. It's just completely versatile now.
Absolutely. And I mean, the other scene also is that, in the, with the flexibility of like having something so decoupled where you can actually view content as, something that's abstracted, and you can like then potentially start tying that content into other data points is, it just gets a lot easier. But the other side of it is also, just around, reacting and development time. And, I'm actually looking back to stuff we would, because, the idea, for example, personalization is an old one on the web. It's been going on for a long time. But, 10 years ago, dealing with personalization with, heavy monolithic platforms was labor intensive affair with, extremely, you needed specialized people with very domain specific skills. So I know this particular platform and how to optimize on this particular thing.
Mm-hmm.
But with Headless, it kind of makes it like it's all fair game for anybody who's a JavaScript developer, more or less, or actually any developer.
And perfect timing for it too, with the whole like move away from third-party data. I mean, personalization in the past was heavily dependent on third-party tracking and data, and finally the world has woken up and said, actually, maybe that's not great for privacy.
Yeah.
Now that companies are being forced into leveraging first-party data, they sort of have to be able to work with it, and it's the perfect timing for Headless to appear on the scene.
Yeah, and now actually it's funny you mentioned that, because the other side of it is also like there's this big move that's going on that, I'm silently watching around on the web, where there's a lot of zero-party data that's starting, where you call it zero-party data because the user is voluntarily giving you information. You see it all the time, and it kind of sprung off this scene of all these apps which had these fantastic onboarding experiences, and like the amount of sites you see now, for example, that have a little quiz that recommend a good product for you, or like where you get the user to voluntarily do, give you information in a few clicks. That's a huge scene I see also. Sorry, I'm just looking at the questions out here. There's one here around AI optimization that is probably something that is on everyone's mind. I mean, like just what's going on with AI, I guess, and SEO right now.
What's going on with AI and SEO? Yeah, that's a massive question. I think the two, there's just so much noise with AI right now that it's hard to distill where the actual business impacts are. I think the two trends and behaviors that one's a behavior. Let me talk about the behavior first. I was at a business lunch about 2 months ago, and we were talking about a go-to-market strategy for this new app, and I was talking with the founder, and we were just discussing a couple of things we've done for recent startup launches. And I don't remember what it was I mentioned, but okay, we could do this one thing, and clearly he didn't understand what it was. He's like, okay, give me a second. And what you would do is you would Google, what does this mean? And I see on his laptop, and he opens up ChatGPT, and what is it? Oh, that's an interesting new behavior. Like asking AI to explain basic concepts, where in the past, all of our customers, their thinking is, well, people Google everything.
Right.
So we need SEO to get our content in front of them. Well, now this has become a new behavior. So how do you optimize around getting your content into or surfaced through the AI tools that people are using to answer their basic questions? So that's an interesting behavioral shift, and will have implications on how websites are coded, because in the past it was all about, Google likes this, the website has to, and now it's it's very important. I think you used the word modality. It's very important that your content can now be extracted by more sources than just a single, like just thinking about the Google bots. That's one major shift I'm seeing. We call it basically omni-channel content extraction.
Right.
And so if you've got your content sitting in a headless CMS, that's perfect, because it can just it can be
Shoot
consumed
out
by
wherever.
API. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's number one. Number two, the ability for smaller, scrappier companies to compete. So, you know, the kind of the chain of events with SEO is like, okay, build your platform, get SEO, do some content marketing, and it's kind of linear. The amount of good quality content you can produce has a one-to-one effect on your SEO and how much pipeline that can generate. We were consulting with a startup last summer, and they were pre-launch. Website wasn't even built yet, and it's just an app and an AI-based app in a particular niche. And they're like, okay, what we've done, we've also trained our model on a bunch of unstructured data around this niche where people ask questions. Okay, and you know, we should have some content for launch for SEO. Like, yeah, we have about 25,000 pages of unique content. 25,000 pages. They're launching with 25,000 unique and useful articles because AI has simply extracted out of unstructured data and created usable content from every single question a person could ask. So the day they launched, their SEO game was through the roof, and right away they could compete.
Yeah, but also, I mean, that brings us to like a really funny situation because I'm seeing a bunch of stuff going on other scenes as well, like people just literally having AIs like write, like you're saying, like tons of content. Then the question becomes, all right, you optimized it, but who's reading it? I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey guys, and just a little bit of a 10-minute to go update, and I just wanted to welcome folks who have joined and are watching live, and thanks for taking some time out on your lunch there. But we're talking primarily headless SEO with Arjuna and Justin here. Yeah, anyway, just an opportunity to post any questions in the comments there, and just to keep the discussion going. Arjuna, Justin, what are you guys kind of bubbling up in new tooling, interesting kind of platforms you're using? And maybe Justin, to start the conversation out, is there anything kind of emerging new on the horizon? What do you guys have your hands on?
Right now, I'm kind of in love with Next.js. We're experimenting a little bit with SvelteKit, but nothing in production yet. But I love the mentality behind the team that drives Next.js. Like, okay, this is now perfectly optimized, blazingly fast. How can we make it faster?
Right.
Like edge data. Are you kidding? It's just amazing. Like,
It
let's
is.
put caches of a localized database as close to the users as possible. It's brilliant. We're looking at experimenting with this new partial pre-rendering, where like, let's statically generate just what's above the fold, let that load so it's instantaneous, and Google, search engines love it because it's perfectly fast. And then as the user's browsing, we're gradually bringing in the other it's amazing. It's like the impact on publishers or data heavy websites that would rely on all this content loading and the impact on Core Web Vitals. It's completely out the window. It's incredible. How about yourselves?
Yeah, we use tons of Next.js. Actually, tons of all of those Jamstack guys. Next, we were using Gatsby before, quite a bit as well. But really, it's come down to a lot of Next right now. And for smaller, kind of lighter things that require a lot more nimbleness on the front end, we use a lot of Astro because it kind of lets us like bring whatever stacks we need to do different things on it. Like, it's not limited only to that React ecosystem. So that's kind of cool as well. But on the other side of things, I mean, like, what about just, tools for actually just analyzing SEO? Any web developer out there gets bombarded on YouTube with ads for SEMrush and the like, and I don't like them that much. I mean,
this actually has been the bane of our existence since the inception of the company.
Yeah.
I always think it's similar to like an accessibility audit, right? There's a million tools out there, or actually even better to understand it is like the accessibility overlay tools.
Oh yeah.
Where they just scan the website and like, oh, it's accessible now. It's like, no, it's not. You just made a color change on the front end. It's not actually accessible. So we think of tools, SEO tools or accessibility tools, kind of like a home inspector. And a home inspector could have, an infrared camera, moisture meters. They have their tools and they know how to use them. But at the end of the day, an experienced home inspector understands what's actually going on in the guts of the house to say, okay, this is a bit of a problem. You may not need to fix this. You should really look at these windows. They're
Mhm.
right, because they have the knowledge and the expertise to tell you, to interpret what the tools are saying. So a tool is only as good as its ability to scan and produce results. It could be SEMrush, it could be Screaming Frog, whatever that is. But then it's then the ability of someone who actually understands the technical guts of SEO, like what is semantic HTML, what is a crawlable link versus a button element, to actually look at those reports and say, hey, we should fix this, and here's how, or you know what, the tool's reporting this, and it really doesn't matter at all.
No, yeah, I love the way you frame that. Actually, just a scene of like, yeah, it's only a tool is just a tool, and
Yeah.
there's a bunch of other stuff to do. But also, it adds so much noise into the SEO like space in general, because there's like, oh, I got this report that says I got to fix all these 200 things, and then you're like, okay, you can probably fix 3 things and get like 80% of the benefit,
Exactly.
rather than just going nuts over just a check mark, I guess.
Oh, and what bothers me so much is that it's technical folks taking advantage of the sending through an SEO report to the marketing people, say, oh, this is all failing, and it's like, actually no, you're it's all sorts of false positives. But that's where it is, like when we're hiring for SEOs, we're often looking for people with a computer sciences background, as opposed to like, hey, I've watched some YouTube videos and the latest algorithm trends. Like that's just garbage.
Yeah. Super cool. I think we've only got a few minutes left. I'd love to hear about like any kind of case study or recent example of like, any kind of hefty headless SEO stuff you guys have done.
Sure, yeah. Actually, you can check out, just launched this past week, the new Exclaim Media website.
Amazing.
So they're Canada's largest music and entertainment publisher. They've been around for over 20 years. I mean, they're if you go to any concert, they're there photographing the artist. They were on a legacy sort of homegrown CMS front end in AWS. It was good enough, but anytime they get a popular artist, just grinds to a halt. They had heard of this sort of new React ecosystem, and then they came to us and we said, is SEO important to you? And like, well, it's kind of like the most important thing. So we brought them into this whole new world, new publishing engine, headless CMS, Next.js front end. And when we did the cutover, no blip. Because Google sees it, they have the same front end they did before, same URL structure, but a much more optimized front end now. So yeah, check out the site. It's pretty cool.
Super awesome. Amazing.
I'd put it up, but I'm at risk of having this whole live broadcasting thing malfunction. So yeah,
no worries.
We'll work that out. Yeah, super cool. Any new trends, anything we can leave viewers with, just some things to think about going into 2024 and beyond, hurdles, gotchas, watch outs, that kind of thing?
I think the 2 things I'm seeing regularly is cybersecurity is becoming very mainstream. The number of ransomware attacks that are hitting the news now, these are townships to large e-commerce retailers. So cybersecurity is a big one.
Yeah, and the library.
Yeah.
Hitting the library. Come on.
Yeah, I know it's. Then the other is web accessibility. It was kind of under the covers there for a while, but now and then you got things like the AODA but it's becoming mainstream, and it's becoming not just acceptable, but almost expected of any respectable company.
Yeah, we're finding that too in the kind of our kind of onboarding stage when bringing on a new client. There's a pretty heavy cybersecurity protocol, and we go out to partners to kind of bolster us from an audit perspective. And yeah, it's just becoming commonplace. And there's different credentials and certifications that are options now to kind of streamline those processes of integrating into clients and customers' overall IT and security systems.
Yeah.
I'm just checking over here to see if there's any other questions, because we are running out of time. Yeah, on that note, we're going to just wrap this up. Arjuna, thank you for your thoughts and insights. Justin, always a pleasure to have you in the shop here. Great partner of ours, and thank you very much. We are live next on February 7th with a long time friend, John Voigt, who is the man behind Agility CMS. We've been building on their platform for going on 15 years, and we really look forward to having him on the show. Any parting comments? I'll leave it open to you guys as we wind this up.
Over to you.
Well, thank you, Justin. Great chats.
Thank you for having me. It was always nice to get out of the home office for sure.
Amazing.
You guys are awesome. Okay, thank you. Thanks for everyone for making time in their lunch to hang out and listen in and ask questions.
Thanks, guys.
See you again.
All right.